Hello guys, welcome to the mathematics lesson 9 revised. So this is the mathematics lesson 9 revised because I feel the way the lesson number 9 was taught was not the way I planned it to teach you. So I felt that I should reteach this lesson because I made some errors in the way I prepared the examples. So we'll continue with solving quadratic equation using the completing of the square method. Alright, so this was supposed to be example 2, where we were told to solve each of the following equations by completing the squares. So we had A, which I solved very well, and then B, which I didn't solve very well, and C. So I want to solve these very well. Alright, so let's say solutions. So we are starting with B. So B is like this: 2a to power x plus 7x plus 3 is equal to 0. So the first step that you are supposed to do in solving such a quadratic equation using the completing of square method is to make sure that the numbers that the constants are on the same side of the equal sign, and in this case on the right side of the equal sign. So this one is not a constant, this one is not a constant, but this one and this are constant. So 3 will follow the other constant on the right side of the equation so that it becomes negative. So when 3 crosses the equal sign, then it becomes negative 3. Negative 3 minus plus 0, it will be just negative 3. So here will remain with 2 will remain with 2x squared plus 7 equals negative 3, because it will cross here and the 0 will affect nothing. Then from here, what we said, the next step that we are supposed to do is to ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So how do we make it to 1? We divide this side by 2. So for us to remain with the just coefficient of 1, we need to divide this x squared by 2. So what we are going to do here, whenever we divide this by 2, we also divide this by 2 and also this by 2. So these are the steps that you are supposed to follow. That's how it is solved. So we are going to have 2x power 2 divided by 2 here, plus then we have 7x also divided by 2 equals then negative 3 divided by 2, so that this 2 and 2 cancels out. That's the whole idea here. So 2 must cancel out here. So this 2 and this 2 must cancel, so that we remain with x squared then plus then 7x over 2 is equal to negative 3 over 2. Then the next step that is supposed to be done here, it is to get the coefficient of x, which is 7 over 2. This is the coefficient of x, 7 over 2. When you get it, what you are supposed to do is to half it or multiply it by half. So this is 7 over 2. So you multiply it by 1 over 2. That's what it means to half it, so that you have 7 times 1, which will be 7, and then over, then you have 2 times 2, which will be 4. Alright, so this is what I did. So you get that one like this one here, 7 over 4. Then you should square it now. You square this one. After you square it, now you add it to both sides of the equation. You add to the left side of the equation and also to the right side of the equation. That's what you are supposed to do at this stage. So you say x squared plus 7x over 2 plus, now you get this one, which is 7 over 4 squared is equal to then negative 3 over 2. Then you add the same one, which is 7 over 4 squared. Alright, then the next step that you are supposed to do here is to say to get this. So you get this and this. So you check these terms have got square. So you just pick the x and this plus here, you add this. So you ignore the square, you just pick what is squared. So you get x, which is this one, plus this one here. Then you get 7 over 4. Then you square now. You square both, you put both in the brackets like that. Then you say equals, then negative 3 over 4, then plus, then you square this one. 7 squared, which is 49, 4 squared, which is 16. So you get 49 over 16. Then from here, you pick the same as it is, squared equals, then you add this one. You need to add this one, all right? So it's a fraction, and remember I taught you already how to add fractions, but maybe you didn't learn, so let me remind you. So you get negative 3 over 2 plus 49, all right, over 16. So this is now you add, you look for a common denominator in which 2 and 16 can go, which is 16 itself. Then you say 2 into 16, which will be 8, all right? 2 into 16, 8. Then you say 8 times 3. 8 times 3, which will be 24. 8 times negative 3, which will be negative 24. All right? That's what it's supposed to be. Then you say also 16 into 16, which will be 1. 1 times 49, which will be 49. So you say plus 49. All right. So 16 into 16, 1. 1 times 49, 49. Then from here, these are opposite signs, you see. This one is negative. This one is positive. So since you are adding numbers that have got different signs, it is as good as subtracting the smaller number from the large number. So in this case, we are saying 49 minus 24, which will be 25. All right. Then the sign of this final answer must be the sign of the large number. So the large number is positive, so even this one will be positive. So it will be 25 as it is over 16. So this is the reason why we have 25 over 16 here. So we'll say after adding this one, we'll have 25 over 16. All right, so you see the importance of fractions. They work in each part of the mathematics that you are going to encounter. So if you never took it serious on the lesson on the fractions, then you have to go back and learn seriously on that lesson, because fractions are part of mathematics. Without them, then you won't be able to answer questions. All right, so we have added this to this one. The next, because of space, let's move here. So what we are going to do is to get the same one, this one to power 2 is equal to, then we'll say 25 over 16. Now we need to get rid of this square. So to get rid of this square, we square root this side. So the moment we square root this side of the equal sign this side, according to mathematics, we must also square the right side. So we also square the right side. So now after we square the right side, what we are going to do now here, it is to make sure that we now cancel. So this one, this square root and this square will cancel. Then here, because we are squaring, we introduce the plus and the minus sign. So that's how it's supposed to be. Certain things we don't need to explain why they are like that, because they may end up just confusing you and you failing to actually know how to solve, getting confused just by this here. But remember, the moment you introduce this one, then you have to introduce the plus and the minus. That's how it is supposed to be. All right, so From here, when you cancel this square and the square root, you remain with x plus 7 over 4 is equal to, so here what you are going to do, it is now to square root. So you are going to say individually the square root of 25, which will be 5. So you write first this here, then the square root of 25, which will be 5, then the square root of 16, which will be 4. So we have 5 over 4 here. All right, then the next thing that we are going to do here, it is to collect like terms together to make sure that numbers are on the same side, which is the right side of the equal sign, and the letter x remains alone on the left side of the equal sign. All right, so now what we are going to do here is to say go to mommy, yes, go to mommy. So now here what you are going to do now to say x is equal to, so you get this one first. Now since you have plus and minus, plus and minus here means that what gives you the value of 25 are two numbers, either negative 5 times negative 5, which will give you 25, or positive 5 times 5 is the one which gives you 25. That's why we put this plus or negative. Then equally here, if we say negative 4 times negative 4. Remember in mathematics, if I write without brackets, I'm violating the rule here. So is equal to, also it will be 16 here. Also 4 times 4, it's still going to give us 16. So that's why we put plus or minus on the front side here. So now what we are going to do is to pick the first part here, which is the minus. So we'll pick this one, the minus. We'll say minus 5 over 4. Then this one, when it crosses here, it becomes minus 7 over 4. Because this equal sign, this sign here plus becomes minus. Then there are two options here. There's the plus or minus. So we have picked the minus, then minus this one, when it crosses, it becomes this. So, or you say again x is equal to, you pick the other part now, the plus, which is 5 over 4. Remember, a number having a plus, when you are writing a number like this, if I have like negative 2 plus 4, if I am to rewrite starting with 4, I will not write the plus. I will just write 4 minus 2. Meaning this is a plus, and it is ambiguous in mathematics to show plus here, because any number without a sign has got a plus in it. That's why we can never show it here. So we'll just leave it like that. That's why when I pick this one with a plus, I will leave it, because as long as I'm starting with this number here, I will leave the plus. Just as here, when I start negative 2 plus 4, because 4 which has a plus is coming after another number, the plus will be shown. But if I'm starting with that number which is positive with plus, then I will not show it. That's the case here. Here when I picked minus 5 over 4, I indicated the minus because the minus has to be indicated. So minus, I picked minus 5 over 4 here. Then this one, when it crosses, it becomes minus 7 over 4. All right. Or now I'm picking another side, which is the positive one, positive 5 over 4. So here I'm not going to do what? To pick the positive. So I'll just pick 5 over 4, because it is as good as this one being lifted without a sign, because you are starting with the number that does not have that have a positive. So now the same one, this one, when it crosses, it is still minus 7 over 4. Then what we are going to do here, it is to say x is equal to, when you add this one here, you have -3. Again, you need to learn how to answer fraction. Again, I will help you, because I hope you won't believe that this one will give you this. So you say -5 over 4 minus 7 over 4. The common denominator here, it is 4. So you say 4 into 4, how many times can it go there? 1. 1 times -5, it will be -5. Then minus 4 into 4, 1. 1 times 7, 7. Equals. So negative, negative, negative. Then you say 5 plus 7, which will be 12 over 4. 4 into -12, -3, which is this one here. Then here we'll say, or we'll solve also this one. So we'll say, or x is equal to, when we solve this one, we'll get -1 over 2. So I've solved this one, go and solve this one so that you arrive at this one. That's how you practice. Practice makes it perfect in everything. So these are the answers for this quadratic equation. So the next one is this one, C here. So pick again C here, and then make sure that this one crosses to the other side of the equal sign and it becomes positive 10. So remain with x squared plus 5x is equal to 10. This one has crossed. Then you get this one here, the coefficient of x, which is 5. So we'll get 5 here and divide it over 2. We have the coefficient of x, which is 5. We have it. Then we'll square root it. All right, so we have to square root it. When we square root it now, we should add it to both sides of the equation. So we have x squared plus 5x, then plus, then we get this one, we add it here, then equals, then we also get the same one, we'll say 10 plus the same one here. Then we'll say x squared, we'll only pick x squared here, and x squared will only pick what is inside. So this one will consider this and this, and ignore this one. So we'll get this x squared and 5 over 2 squared. So since both of these are squared, we only pick x plus 5 over 2, then we put both inside the brackets and then square. Then now we'll say equals, then we'll say 10 plus, then we'll say 5 squared, which will be 25, 2 squared, which will be 4. So we have 25 over 4 here. All right. So why we ignore this 5x here is that if you expand this expression here, you are still going to get the same one here, including the 5 here. So 5 has been covered by this one here. So from here, what you are going to do is to write this one, and then equals, then you add this one here. So you add. So how do you add a number and then a fraction? It's simple. You just say 10 here, you make it a fraction over 1. Then plus 25 over 4. Then you say over, common denominator between 1 and 4 is still 4. So you say 1 into 4, 4. 4 times 10, which will be 40. Then plus, you say 4 into 4, 1. 1 times 25, which will be 25. So you are going to add now 40 plus 25, 65, then over 4. So now here, after adding here, you have 65 over 4. All right. Then now, what we are going to do now, it is to get rid of this x. So say, all right, this one, square root it, even here, square root it, so that we get rid of this square here. All right. So the squared here will be cancelled by this. And here, whenever you put a square root here, you put positive or minus. I've already explained this one. Then here you remain with now x plus 5 over 2 is equal to, then here you just square root first 4 here, because 65 does not have a perfect square. So you have plus or negative, then you have this 65 over 2. So this one has been squared. 4 squared, it will be 2. This one won't be squared because it doesn't have a perfect square. So now from here, let's move here and have now x is equal to plus or negative. So this one is crossing. That's why we are having x. So this one now I will square root. So what I will do here, I'll square root. Let me just get a calculator so that I show you how I will square root this one. So I'll get 65 square root, which will be 8.062. So for the sake of shortening the process, I will just end up to here 3 decimal point. So meaning what is this now? So meaning okay, so here now, meaning this one will have x, then square rooting this one, I've told you that it will be 6.08, I mean 8.062 over 2. So this is 2 still here. Then square root of this one is this one here. Then this one now is crossing to become minus 5 over 2. So there are 2 options here. I'll pick the first option with a minus. So I'll say minus 8.062 over 2 minus 5 over 2. Or I'll pick the second option, which is x is equal to, I'll get the positive. So I get 8.062 over 2, the positive part here, then still minus 5 over 2. Then I'll say x is equal to, then when I add this one, I'll get negative 6.53, or x is equal to, when I add this one here, I'll get 1.53. So try to solve these ones. So I just rounded off to 2 decimal point here. So now let's look at solving the quadratic equation using the formula method. Solving the quadratic equation using the formula method. So first, I'm going to derive the formula method for you. So the quadratic formula is derived by completing the square of the general quadratic expression here, or equation. This quadratic equation, we can complete the square of it so that we can come up with the formula. All right, so here what we are going to do, we'll get this one. Now, as usual, consider this one just like maybe 2x squared, maybe plus 3x plus maybe 4 equals 0. Now here we are just putting numbers like ax, or letters I mean squared, plus where there is a 3 here we are just putting a bx, plus where there is 4c, because c is a constant, equals 0. So the way we could complete the squares of this one is the same way we could complete the square of this one. So it's the same procedure that we are going to use. We'll complete this one the same one. So remember, when we were completing the square in the previous lesson, we made sure that, in the previous example, we made sure that the coefficient of x here should be just 1, not a here. So we'll divide this one. First of all, this one will go this side so that it becomes minus c. Then here we'll divide by, we'll get this one divided by a, even here divide by a, equals even here divide by a. So that this a and this a can cancel, so that here will remain with just x squared plus bx over a is equal to okay, so what I did here, I moved so fast. So I got this half of this one. I got the coefficient of x here, which is b over a. Then it did what? Halved it. So I multiplied it by 1 over 2. That's halving it, which gives me b times 1, which is 1. Then a times 2, which will be 2. Then what I did was now to square it. So you square it, then you add it to both sides of the equal sign. So you say plus, you add the same one on this side now, squared, then equals, then also on this side you get this one, then you add the same one here. Okay, so that's what is supposed to be done. Then next here, you get now this one and this one, we ignore this one. So just get a plus b over 2a, you square root, is equal to, you get this one, then you put plus, then here you say b squared, it will be b squared, then 2 squared, it will be 4, a squared, it will be a squared. So it will be b squared over 4a squared, because b squared, it will be b squared. Indices here. Then 2 squared, it will be 4. A squared, it will be a squared. All right. Then from here, collect this one is equal to, now what we are going to do here, it is now to add. So we are going to add this as a fraction as it is, we add it. So the common denominator here between a and 4a squared is 4a squared. So get 4a squared as a common denominator. Then we'll say a into 4a squared, it will go there how many times? 4a. So 4a times negative c, it will be negative 4ac. I said a into 4a squared, it will give us 4a. 4a times ac, it will give us 4ac, negative 4ac. Then plus will come here. Then this into this, it will go how many times? 1. 1 times b squared, it will be b squared. All right. So let's push this one here because of space. Let's move here. So now the same one here copied here is equal to what? The same one here copied here. Now we need to get rid of this square here by putting a square root here. Once we do this side a square root, even in this side, then we even put the plus or minus here. Then this one and this one will cancel, so you remain with this one. X plus b over 2a is equal to, now you have this one. Now here, what we are going to do, here we cannot square, but we will square the bottom one. So 4 squared, it will be 2. A squared, it will be a. So at the bottom will remain with 2a. What I've said is this square root here is being shared for these above here and these at the bottom. So these cannot be squared because they don't have a square root and they are plus. There's addition here, but here these are multiplying each other, so it is easy to square them if to square root them if they have perfect square. So we are saying 4 squared, it is 2. A squared, 4 squared, 2. A squared, it is A. That's what you get after square. So this one now become, this one will remain with the square root. So say, down here we have now 2A line. Then the square root will remain with these, which are not going to be squared. So the line now is passing, the square root is now up. Then from there, you say x is equal to, this one now crosses. So when this side, we need to remain with x alone here, remember. So when this one crosses, it becomes minus b over 2a, then plus or negative, then this one here. All right? We'll copy everything here. Now, what we are going to do here, it is to divide now. Or, sorry, to say x is equal to, now we find we add these two. So the common denominator between this part and this part, it is 2a, 2a. So we have 2a as common. So say 2a into 2a, 1 times b, it will be 1 times negative b, it is negative b. So we are saying 2a into 2a, 1. 1 times negative b, it will be negative b. Then this plus or minus will come. Then we'll say 2a into 2a, 1. 1 times this expression above here, it is the same expression above here. All right. So now when you look at this one now, this one becomes the quadratic formula that you are going to find in books. This is the quadratic formula, and this is how it is driven. All right, so now let's look at now the examples of how to use the quadratic formula. So we are saying use the quadratic formula to solve each of the following correct to 2 decimal places. So we are solving a squared plus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. Then we are also solving 3x squared minus 5x plus 1 is equal to 0. So solutions. So solutions we are going to write like this. We'll start with a. So whenever we write this a, like a squared plus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0, we should write the general quadratic equation again, the one from which the quadratic formula was driven from, and then compare this general equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 with this one here. So here the coefficient is 1, here the coefficient is a. So a corresponds to 1, here coefficient is b, here coefficient is 5, here the constant is c, here the constant is 2. So it means that here a in this equation is equal to 1, here b in this equation is equal to 5, here c in this equation it is equal to 1. Now you get the formula. When you bring the formula now, you get these numbers, you start substituting. 1 will come where there's a, b will come where there's 5 will come where there's 5, b here, 2 will come where there's c. That's how it works. So now we'll say x is equal to, where there's b here, b is 5, so minus will remain. So we'll say minus b now is 5, we have put 5, plus or negative, then we'll say square root. Then this b, 5, we'll put 5 squared, 5 squared, minus, then here we have 4, minus 4, then a is 1. So it means we are saying times 1, because between 4 and a there's multiplication which we don't write. Whenever we write like bc, it is as good as being written as b times c. So whenever we don't write signs, it means that there are letters there. I mean, whenever we write like this, there's a multiplication there. So I'm getting disturbed by the noise these chaps are making. So now then it times C here, it is 2, so we'll write 2 here. Then we'll say over 2, we'll write 2. Then it times A is 1, we'll write 1 here. Then we'll move a bit there. So we'll say X is equal to minus 5 plus or negative. Then this one, so here we'll say 5 squared, it is 25. Then we'll say negative 4 times 1, still negative 4. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. So we have negative 8, then over here. So we are going to say over 2 times 1, which is going to be 2. Then we'll say X is equal to negative 5 plus, then we'll say 25 minus what? 8, which will be 17. So 17 square root over 2. So now what we are going to do here is to say is equal to negative 5 plus or minus. So when we square root this one, because the question says use the quadratic formula to solve each of the following correct to 2 decimal places. So we need 2 decimal places. So when we square root this one, for instance, let me show you when you go to your calculator what you can see. If you get 17, you square root it, you get this one, 4.123. So for me, I'm only getting up to 3 decimal places because the question otherwise needs that our answer should be up to 2 decimal places, up to where 2 here. After the point, you need 2 numbers after the point. Those are what we are calling 2 decimal places. But in my answer, before I give you the final answer, I am not using 2, I'm using 3. So here I said, if it after square rooting this one, I got 4.123. I just had to cut at this point. All right, over now 2. So now there will be 2 answers as usual. So you say X is equal to, so what you are going to do is to say, you pick first negative 5. So we are going to pick first the minus part, then minus 4.123 over 2. Then we'll say, or X is equal to, we'll get negative 5. Then we'll pick the positive now, 4.123 over 2. All right, so now when you add these, now you say equals. So again, let me show you how to find the answer on your calculator. So here you say negative 5 here minus 4.123 equals, that is the answer. Then you say divided by this line, means divided by 2. Then you get what? Negative 456. Now here they said you go to 2 decimal places, meaning you end here where there's 6. So your answer here will be negative 456, because you have ended up to what? Up to 2 decimal places here as guided. Then you say, or you also get this one, X is equal to, so you get again this one, you say negative 5 minus, oh, it's not minus now. Here we are saying plus, so it is plus 4.123 equals that one. Then you say divided by 2 again, which you are going to get 0.4385. So I'll end here. When ending on 3, I'll check the next number after 3. Since it is greater than 5, I'll borrow a 1 from this number 8, which is greater than 5, and give to this number upon which I'm ending, which is 3. So if I get 1 from here, I add it to 3, it will be now 4. So the answer will be negative 0.44. So like we did here. All right, so that's how this answer was found. So these are the two answers. Now let's do also B. So B again, we'll get the same B, put it here, and get the general equation and put it here. So A, it means it corresponds to 3, B corresponds to -5, then C corresponds to 1. It means A is equal to 3, and B is equal to -1, and C is equal to 1. So now we'll get the quadratic equation here. Formula, put it here, and say x is equal to, where there's b here, where there's b, we put the whole -5. So say this negative will stay alone, and we'll have another -5 inside the brackets like this, then plus or negative square root, then here again we'll put it -5 inside the bracket squared, -5 inside the bracket squared, minus, then we'll say 4 is this one, 4 times A is 3, so we put 3 here, times C is 1, we put 1 there, over 2, so 2 times C3, because 2 is here, times A is 3 here. All right, so 2 times A is 3 there. So they need to move like that. So come here, we have x is equal to, then here we multiply negative, which will be positive, so we have +5. Then this one plus or negative will remain there, then square root we'll put, then here we'll say -5 times -5, which will be 25. Then here -4 times 3, 12, -12 times 1, which will still be -12 there. All right, so now we'll say over, then 2 times 3, which will be 6, then we'll say equals, we'll say 5 positive or negative, then we'll say 25 minus 12, which will be square root 13 over 6 here, because this 25 minus 12, which will be 13. Then what we are going to say, x is equal to positive or negative. Here when we get the calculator again, we find the square root of 13 there. So say 13 square root here, it is giving us this one, 3.605. So me, I'm going to end where here. So since I'm ending here, and the next number after where I'm ending is 5, I will get a 1 and add it to this one, so that I get 3.606. So that's what I'm going to have here, 3.606 divided by 6. Then I'll say x is equal to, I'll have now two options here. Either I'll get this one plus, I'll get for minus first this one over 6, or say x is equal to, I'll get this one, then I'll get plus now this one, then over 6. Then again I'll get a calculator to show you how to find the answer. So I'll say 5 minus 3.606 equals that one, then divided by 2, divided by 6, where I'll get this one, 0.28, because they're saying to 2 decimal places. So me, I'll end on this 8, because after the point I need 2 numbers, 1, 2. Then I'll check the next number after 8, which is 2. It is less than actually 5, so I will not get anything to add to 8. So it will just be 0.28. So here the answer will be 0.28, right? 0.28. That's what we got. Let me check. How again did I go wrong here? So 5 minus 3.606 equals that one divided by 6. That one, yeah. So what's this? We are saying 5 minus 3.606 equals, and divided by 6 equals, so 0.23. So I made an error here, so it is 0.23. Okay, which is the answer here. Then 1.43. So 1.43, how? Because I might have made an error as well here. That's why proving using a calculator is good. So 5 plus this one, how? So this one again, there's something wrong here. It's supposed to be this one here. So let's say plus 3. So 5 plus 3.606 equals, divided by 6. This will be the answer, yeah. So it will be 1.43 up to here. So this one is less than 5, so I will not get anything to add to this 3. So 1.43. So those will be the answers. However, this one again, errors continues. It should have been plus 3.606. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to answer. This one is wrong. The correct one is this one. So the two answers are x is equal to 0.23 or x is equal to 1.43. So this is the work for you to practice now. So practice these so that you are able to solve these equations. As for now, bye and see you in my next lesson.